It's been exactly 1 week since three teacher bodies, the Ghana National Association of Teachers, the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, as well as the Concerned Teachers, CCT, declared a nationwide strike on the basis of various issues they've been raising that government needed to attend to. So for the past 1 week, teachers have not been in the classroom. Meanwhile, the students or the pupils in the public basic schools across the country have been going to the schools, but with no teachers in the classrooms. Today, they are all emerging here at the National Labour Commission as we speak. Leadership of the three teacher unions are currently in a closed-door meeting with the National Labour Commission, trying to arrive on a consensus to see how the concerns of the teacher bodies can be addressed. I have here one of the leadership of the bodies ready to have an interaction with us. Madam, tell us your name and who you are to the various bodies.
My name is Sarah Oyo Oredu. I'm the Greater Accra Regional NAT Chairman, or Chairperson, as some of them will say it. You as a worker of joy, you cannot work without a condition of service. Even if it expires, it needs to be renewed. Okay. So we want our condition of service and then our collective bargain agreement.
After hours of negotiation with the National Labour Commission, the Ministry of Education and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, the parties arrived at some agreement. King Ali Awudu is president for CCT.
3 of them has been dealt with right here now. 6 of them has been referred for negotiation beginning tomorrow. Those that were dealt here right here and now. 1, the laptop. We have agreed that at the end of the month of June this year, every teacher should receive the laptop. Now, there has been so many deadlines that has been given, but none of those deadlines resulted in a strike or came to the Labour Commission. This is a rule of the Labour Commission. If they don't do it, we are going to take a much bigger action than this. The next one is about our scheme of service. GES do not have a scheme of service. So how a headmaster is appointed, how a director general is appointed, how a form master is appointed, it's not documented in any book. It has been agreed here that by the 8th of April, the Ghana Education Service should present the draft scheme of service to the teacher unions for review.
He said the unions will continue to negotiate for the 6 other demands from tomorrow.
Rent allowance. 2, transport or commuting allowance. 3, utility subsidy allowance. Yes. From here, we are going to go through that procedure immediately, going through our councils and getting it done for us to be able to meet the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations, the Ministry of Education, Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, and all the parties.
The Education Minister, Dr. Yawase Duchun, said the ministry is ready to meet with the teacher unions tomorrow.
They have indicated that the Ministry of Education, Labour should convene a meeting immediately to begin negotiations. We are therefore meeting at 2 p.m. tomorrow at the conference hall of Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations. The Commission has also directed that the labour unions should call off the strike. On this note, I want to thank the National Labour Commission for the judgment that they've rendered. We look forward to meeting with the labour unions at 2 p.m.
From the National Labour Commission here in Accra, my name is James Savaji, reporting for Joy News.
Welcome back on the AM show. We usher you right into our big stories. And first on the chopping board, yes, you just saw them. They were singing Bibi Besi. But what is going to happen? The NLC, the National Labour Commission, has engaged NAT, NAGRAT, and the CCTGH, these teachers' unions, on some of their concerns. It's quite a number of them. 3 of them have been addressed so far by the NLC per those discussions only yesterday, including the provision of their laptops. At least there's been some agreement on it. It's not that they've got it, but there has been some agreement on it. Reverting salaries blocked by the Office of the Special Prosecutor and providing them with terms of service for teachers. These are all in the pipeline, but the strike remains. They're still not moving to post. They are continuing with the strike. What is the way forward? Engaging us this morning, we have a number of guests. We start off with Dr. Pre-Tertiary. He's Executive Director, Institute for Education Studies. Doc, good morning.
Good morning, Ben.
It's good to have you join the conversation. What do you make of these developments and how far we've come as far as this labor strike is concerned?
Thank you very much. First of all, last year, one of the significant successes of the Ministry of Education was the ability to control strike actions within the education front. So if you look at the various news reports from January to December, you will see that there were less strike actions recorded that year. And I remember when we were doing the year under review, I even commended the minister for undertaking such a feat and hope that this year we would not have any disturbance in the education front. Unfortunately, that has not been the case. This strike comes after the strike action by TEWU, Senior Staff Association of Ghana, the administrators in the tertiary institutions. Then we had the threats from UTAG, and then now the pre-tertiary education teachers are also on strike. I feel that there's something that we don't do right, because if you look at the list of things that the teachers have complained about and they are going on strike on, right, you would see at least 2 of them are things that should not have led to this particular level. I remember the number of times that Thomas Musa, NAT's General Secretary, have complained about the withholding of their colleagues' salaries by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. I remember the number of times that Angel Kabono have complained about the teachers not receiving the laptops. So do we have to wait for these teachers to go on strike before we address these 2 issues, which can be addressed within just a simple meeting? So sometimes I feel that these things are just we bring them on ourselves. It's something that our leaders don't want to take responsibility for, and at the end of the day, it's the students, the individual poor child in the school that suffers the irresponsibility of the leaders that are supposed to ensure that the education front is free of these strike actions.
Right, and at least we've got to this point. It wouldn't be the first time that on some of these points we've got here, but how do you address at least the fact that I heard the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission as well as the National Labour Commission the talk about the fact that this was an illegality, the position adopted by the teachers. From where you sit, was it illegal or was it a mechanism to ensure that something got done? Because now they've got the attention of the bodies and meetings are being held. How do you feel about that?
Exactly. Well, by the books, this could be classified as an illegality. But what were they expecting them to do? Number of teachers have not had their pay released to them because of a mishap within the system. And the teachers have complained. The only way that they have been able to address this is by embarking on this so-called illegality. So for me, sometimes I feel that it is not so much about the rules, it is about how we respond to them. And I think that if they didn't go on this tangent, these 2 issues, which I think they are not bigger issues enough to call for a strike would not have been resolved. Why should it take a strike action for the teachers to receive their laptops? Why? Why should it be so that they have complained over and over that the body that is responsible to ensure that the teachers receive their laptops have slept on their job till a strike action was declared, and now they have been given a deadline. That is how I see it, and that is why most workers union would want to embark on strike, because it's only when they go on strike or undertake these actions that the authority listens to them and take action. So we continue to experience this illegality till our leaders become a little bit proactive and responsive to the challenges and the needs of the unions when they bring them up.
Right. Dr. Anti, thank you for joining, or at least sharing those thoughts. We also have Peter Nochukoto. He's the Deputy Ranking Member on the Education Committee. Peter, thank you for joining the conversation.
Yeah, thank you. And how are you doing?
I am well under the circumstances. I hope you're well too.
Yes, very well by the grace of God.
We have seen some push as far as the Labour Front is concerned, those three teachers' unions or teachers' groupings. And now there are some responses. We have the National Labour Commission, and three of their core issues seemingly have been addressed. When I say addressed, it doesn't mean it's gone full circle, because the laptops, for example, we cannot say as of today that all of them have been distributed, but there are some agreements. You can talk about the salaries frozen by the OSP. We can also talk about the conditions of service, among other things. But what do you make about how far we've got, and whether enough has been done from the employer's end to have maybe not even let us get here?
Yeah, thank you very much, and good morning to your listeners and viewers. Just to make a short correction, I am the ranking member. Yeah.
Right, thank you.
Yes, the teachers went on a strike last week. I can tell you that it is having effect on the school calendar. The Committee of Education was in Santiago North this week, Monday, Tuesday, to do some community engagement. And throughout the constituency or the district, we saw that all schools were shut. And no teacher was present. Pupils were also not there. A few were there just playing. And we realized that it's having a big toll on even parents as well, because they have to take care of the security of their children. Now, yes, have learned the progress made so far. And I think if they continue the way they started yesterday, they should be in a very short time resolve all these matters. But you see, what is happening is that do we have to wait until teachers or workers go on strike before we do what is expected of us? Look at the teacher laptop issue. The contract agreement was for 1 calendar year. So from January 2021 to December 2022, they had to distribute the laptop to all teachers. Some have even gone on retirement without getting it. Some have even, as we used to say, died and they will not receive it or resigned. It is not the best. So it has taken Parliament now to take resources meant for basic education under the GET Fund to pay 98 million or to approve 98 million Ghana cedis to enable the Ministry of Education pay for the laptop. And if you convert that into classroom, that could have given us 100 kg blocks, fully furnished.
How much did you mention again?
98 million Ghana cedis.
98 million Ghana cedis.
Yes.
Right.
That's what Parliament approved that should be used from the basic education allocation from the GET Fund.
And you say you could have given us how many classrooms?
That has given us 100 kg blocks, fully furnished.
Right.
You see, so if government will not take such responsibilities seriously, and wait for workers or teachers to go on strike before trying to look for resources to pay. In fact, it is not helping the system because the educational system as we have it now is not the best. Things are not going on well at all, both at the basic and the secondary level. Education has taken a nosedive, and this is the time for us to re-engage ourselves and then see what best we can do to solve the challenges. Okay, so for the laptop, I know once Parliament has approved that money, it is also left with the Minister of Finance to release money to get funds to enable it also onward, release it to the Minister of Education for payment. So that is the journey. Now, yes, the progress has been made, but you see, workers are now mistrusting government because when we sit down and we agree that let's do A, B, C, D, government will not do it, or the Ministry of Education will not do it. And that is creating a problem. You remember last year we had to intervene during the UTAG and the Ministry of Education impasse. The Committee on Education had to come in, talk to the UTAG, and they say their decision, only for government to again fail on their promise to UTAG. So we hope that if they go back to the negotiation table today, they will continue and arrive at a very useful conclusions. See, the teachers, when we went out, we did the engagement this week. Their major problem is accommodation, teaching, learning materials, the textbooks. They are not coming. So these are issues that I think we should address quickly so that the teachers can go back. So I hope that once the week is half gone already, maybe let's see, Easter will also come. By the end of this week, I hope they should be able to agree on something positive. Then they can call the strike off and go back to school.
I mean, and if they are not able to do that, what would it mean?
No, I hope that if government is genuinely committed to the welfare of teachers, they should be able to do it. They should just draw
Mr. Nochukoto, anything can happen. They had that interaction yesterday. They said, we hear you, but we are continuing with the strike. They say 3 of them have been dealt with, but they are continuing with the strike. It could happen that even post the holidays, entering April, we're still in this situation. I'm asking you, if it continued up to that point, what would it mean for our educational setup?
Oh, it will mean that the situation will continue to be worse because the school calendar already is a distorted one. So my appeal to the Minister of Education and that of Labour and the Salaries and Wages Commission as well as the Labour Commission to speed that action. That is the only way we can resolve the problem. And then draw an agreed formula or timetable by which everybody should be committed. So, for example, ministry should engage the teachers, okay, go back to school. We are going to do A at this time, B at that time, C, and then D. Then we can resolve the matter. So that if they are unable to do so, probably they can take another action again. So let's wait, let's give them this week, and then by the end of the week, they should be able to tell us something. If they don't, then probably the committee may have to come in and then probably intervene. That's all we can do for now.
Hold for me. There's more I have to swing by you. But let me bring in Dr. Anti as well. I just got this message from a teacher who says, Dr. Anti, why didn't the leaders of the teacher unions add the non-payment of arrears from 2012 to 2014 to their demands? Some of us have still not received our money. We want to know what our leaders are doing about that too. And for this, you cannot say because the administration came in 2016, so they have no hand in it. 2012 to 2014. Do you feel that is an issue that could come back to haunt, the system? Because then, if people pushed enough, we could have another strike at some point in the future on the back of this. You would have to unmute, Peter.
Yeah, I think that the teachers affected should quickly draw the attention of their leadership to this, or maybe they are already aware. Of course, when you're embarking on a strike action, you need certain issues to put at the forefront, and then there are other issues that you bring to the table when you are called upon for negotiation. So I think that is maybe the strategy that the teacher unions, the leadership is using. But if they don't have this, the teachers affected should quickly prompt their leadership to add this to the negotiations that they are going to. And if truly these allowances haven't haven't been paid for that long, I think there will be a way around this.
And but look at these two sides of the coin. Would it not be too late to bring it in at this point in time? And what does it do for goodwill? Because they enumerated their issues in that statement. They enumerated them. So if some are being dealt with and then you keep adding others, it creates a problem, doesn't it?
Yes, that's why I said that normally when we are doing some of these things, you go to the negotiation table with certain issues that cut across the welfare of all your members. And then when you feel that there are others that you can bring in, I think during the discussion, these things can be dealt with. I don't know the number of teachers that were affected. I don't know the extent to which the effect is on the teachers. And I think that the leadership would definitely know about this and they would find a way around it. If truly such a situation as this, I cannot independently say that I'm aware of these allowances that have not been paid.
Looking at the sums of money that they came to Parliament for, right, which Peter Nochukoto cites, the 98 million Ghana cedis, and what it could have been used for versus where we are. How do we streamline this in monetary terms to ensure that the teachers get what they deserve?
Well, I think that there's always a plan mapped up for the amount of money that is sent to the education ministry. So definitely they will know how the distribution is going to be like. I don't think that anything that the budgetary allocation for the Ministry of Education is done haphazardly. There is a plan that they are supposed to follow. And definitely they would follow that. When the issues are maybe above them, I think the minister and the relevant authorities will be able to get additional funds to support the teachers, especially now that they are talking about certain allowances that they want as part of their conditions of service. I think these negotiations, that is why I think along the line, they were told that the issues of some of these allowances goes beyond the bodies that were involved in the negotiation. So they had to bring in the Ministry of Finance. And when the ministry comes in and feel that there will be fiscal space to accommodate some of these things, I think they will be able to take care of that.
Right. And in terms of, we've spoken about accommodation, teaching and learning materials and all of that. The stance of the teachers to continue with the strike, even as some of these are being resolved, is it one you support?
This is difficult. I'm running some research work in parts of the Ashanti region, and I go to schools and I see two teachers, and even the students are not there, which is affecting my work. So I wish that the teachers call off the strike and then get back to the classroom, but they cannot do so in a situation where their socio-emotional needs and their psychologically they are not prepared to teach, and that's why teachers' welfare are important variables that you need to take care of when you want the teacher to deliver or give off his or her best. Because sometimes they can go to school, sit down, and they will not engage in any activity at all. The children will play, and then when it's time for closing, they pack back their bags and leave the classroom. So we would want the teachers to be in a certain state of mind before they get to the classroom and then deliver the best education that we want for our kids. And to be able to put them in that state of mind, I think that these issues needs to be addressed. You see, the words of leaders are supposed to carry some level of value. So that when a leader says that I will give you this, the child goes to sleep because he knows that the leader said he will do that. In most instances, our leaders have not lived by their words. And that is why even when they have assured workers that they are going to do A, workers are still skeptical because they don't believe or trust the words of leaders. I think these are things that our leaders need to work on. That at a point in time of our national development, their words will mean words that are going to be fulfilled. And when that happens, this calls to go back to the classroom will not even be needed, because whilst the leader speaks, they know that action is going to follow and the teachers will call off the strike.
Right. And I'm curious, even as we try to take apart the issues one by one, starting with, and then when I get your take, I will go to Peter Nochukoto as well. Starting with the issue of laptops and tablets. Yesterday, I engaged Dr. Richmond Echiahene, a banking consultant, among others. And he was furious, asking how, for example, a country unable to feed itself will prioritize digitalization in the form of giving out tablets, right? Then you look at the fact that this bit about giving out tablets or laptops to students, all students in Ghana, was a promise that was made even before this administration got into power. And it's now almost the 8th year. In fact, it is the 8th year. We are almost concluding the 8th year. And now this promise is seemingly being fulfilled. You look at the numbers as presented to Parliament and the number of students involved versus the actual numbers. Those who have received, for example, if you want to talk about teachers who have received their laptops, that's another issue. Over 100,000 of them from some groupings not having their laptops. Though some say, apart from the 30% component that they paid, their SNIT was also used to foot the rest of the bill. But when it comes, if you're looking purely at the students, the numbers, a fraction of them are going to get these tablets. What then does this mean, at least from that standpoint, juxtaposing that with a teacher's standpoint? Is the reality going to be any different?
I think what you have enumerated is called looking at the track record of the delivery of the promise and how it is being fulfilled. And based on that, you can make a logical conclusion that it's going to be difficult for all the 1.3 million students to get their laptops. For me, my position is that in this time and age,
but is that a position you agree with, that it is going to be difficult and that this may just be cosmetic, that indeed, if you look at funding, if you look at what's presented to Parliament, we will not give 1.3 million students those laptops or tablets?
So looking at how we dealt with the Banredu laptop, looking at how we dealt with the One Ghana, Better Ghana laptop, I can say that it's going to be a little bit difficult for this promise to be fulfilled. So what needs to happen is that the implementers of this particular policy this time around should learn from the difficulties that engulf the two earlier on policies. And then if they're able to learn from it and improve and implement this policy in a way that will benefit the students, I think then we'll be able to achieve this. But as I was saying, for me, exposing the student to technology in this time and age is nothing that should be a big deal to anybody. We will continue to have challenges in the system, and therefore you cannot always get everything right before you take a step. So that should not be an argument for us to make. What we have to look at is to what extent are we going to be able to get the students use the laptop to achieve improved learning outcomes. I'm saying this because I've done a lot of research in terms of students' behavioral intention to use laptops. I've made presentation to the ministry, and then last year, November, National Education Week, we did a presentation on this paper also. And one of the things that came out forcefully, speaking to the students, was that they know that the laptops or the tablets or their phones are used mostly for entertainment purposes. So they play games, they use it to watch videos, take pictures, and do all those social media stuff. So it is up to us during the implementation process to now turn the students' mind from that focus of using tablets to the focus of purely academic activity. And it's going to take a lot of skill from the teacher to be able to achieve that. And that is why we need to get a very nice framework, a very concise framework that would enable us roll this out in the classroom. So it's not so much about giving the students laptop. Yesterday, I was saying that giving students laptop do not necessarily lead to quality education, as was propounded during the lunch. No, you can give students laptop or tablet or whatever it is, but the end results will not be improved in quality education. The laptops needs to be used for what they are intended to, they need to be, the teachers need to direct the students to be able to use the laptops, to be able to now achieve the purpose of which they were given. Now, if you are not able to get this right, this synergy, this kind of collaboration, if you are not able to get it right, we will just be doling out laptops to students like we did in 2008, like we did in 2011, 2012, and we will not get any better result from it. Interestingly, if you have taken note, all these policies seems to be launched in election year. So 2008, Banwedu, 2012, 2011, 2012, one Ghana, better Ghana laptop, and then 2024, we have this one too being launched. I don't know the relation between election years and the distribution of these digital.
I'm going to be blunt here. Does it make any sense? And you know, sometimes people like to play. Does it make any sense for any administration to wait till it's the year of election to do this? Does it make any sense to you?
For me, I think it's more about improving election outcomes than learning outcomes.
In other words, propaganda, an attempt to buy votes rather than actually expertly executing a project, right?
Exactly. And let me show you the reason why I'm saying this. In 2019, I think around July, the Ministry of Education signed a memorandum of understanding with a Chinese company that was supposed to now lead the charge in terms of the creation of smart classrooms and smart schools. That is 2019. The now Minister of Education was the Deputy Minister. He was there. I think the boss of the Ghana Library Authority was also there. That was when this memorandum of understanding was signed under the former Minister of Education,
Dr. Matthew
Prempe. So if we really wanted to do this, we should not have waited till 2024 before we would roll this out. So when we look at it from that point of view, then you would definitely say that there's more to the distribution than what we are seeing. Again, we have reviewed our ICT policy. And for me, I think the focus of the Ministry of Education would have been to now educate the general public on the new ICT policy that is being reviewed. Because when you talk about this, the first thing that teachers or people will say is that students are not supposed to use laptops or digital devices in the schools. But these things have been reviewed. So why should we be focused on propagating the distribution of the laptop rather than taking the stakeholders through the new ICT policy for education and how we can integrate ICT in our teaching and learning to ensure that we achieve proper learning outcomes. And that is why I look at all this and I think that this is more about improving election outcomes than learning outcomes.
Let me come to you, Mr. Nochukoto. So on the same front, when it comes to tablets for students, I mean, like has been mentioned, even with the smart school setup, 2019 till now, it's almost 5 years, and we're executing it in an electoral year for whatever reason. But when it comes to the laptops or the tablets, what are the real possibilities that all 1.3 million plus will get them? From where you sit, do we have the money to execute this? Do we even have the systems in place to be able to execute this vis-a-vis what we've seen with the teachers' laptops?
Yeah, thank you very much. This issue of tablets came up last year. And they were going to force all the 1.3 million tablets that they wanted to buy on Get Fund. So if you remember very well, the approval of the formula for Get Fund for last year delayed so much until June. This was because the minority will raise an issue that Get Fund, where we know is for educational purposes, but the rate at which items were being forced on Get Fund, do this, do that, was too much. And then, worst of all, you had a capped Get Fund, and you were not giving Get Fund all the necessary revenue that you took on their behalf. You are giving them just about 40%. And even the 40%, you are unable to give all to them. So why make Get Fund suffer the consequences of your actions? So we had to meet the then Minister for Finance to discuss the matter. No, we cannot allow you to impose this on Get Fund. So we will only give you a limit, and that limit is what Get Fund should sponsor. So it was going to be about 1.5 billion. So we agreed that it should be spread over 2 years. So they paid 750 million or so last year, and this year they're also going to pay 747 million out of the approved sums of money for secondary education. You know, the Get Fund formula is such that we have the tertiary allocation, secondary allocation, then basic education allocation, then other expenditures or like a scholarship and all those things. So we agreed that that should be the case. So Get Fund came out and said that, well, with the money approved for them, they were going to pay for 450,000 pieces. And that is what is available now. The 1.3 was the total. Get Fund was to sponsor 450,000 pieces, but the remaining 8,500 or so was to be sponsored by central government. So what was launched on Monday was only the 450,000. We had issues with this with the minister when we met him on the 14th of this month as a committee, that we wanted to know if government had been able to procure the remaining number. The minister said no. So why are you in a hurry to distribute them, as you said in a statement recently? They said they were going to pilot it. Why are you piloting it? Is it going to be for final year students only, or second year or first year? Then he said it was going to be for some selected schools. And the committee wanted to know the schools, because we realized that it was going to be politically skewed. And he told us that as a committee, he will engage us. Okay, we wanted to know if the tablets were empty, that is without any information. He said they had engaged a technical team that was going to program it. So you have not programmed it, you have not finished, because you needed to get the permission of some publishers to put their books on the tablet. You have not done those things, and now you are going to distribute them. And he couldn't answer. So some of us are even of the view that that's why he didn't even invite the committee to the launching. Not even the chairman of the committee.
You think the minister had something to hide?
Exactly. Probably he felt that if we came there, the press may interview some of us and we will tell the truth. So we were not invited. Well, that's notwithstanding, I am of the view that in this year's budget, probably they may come with the mid-year review budget and make provision for it, because there was no provision for the tablet in the 2024 budget. But they could, if they wanted, they would do it in the mid-year review. So we asked the minister, when we came to the plenary, the minister was asked to explain to us, wanted to know the procurement process that was used. Now, the company that was engaged, and what are the modalities? What are the contents of the tablets? Are the students going to take it away, or they will leave it behind? How are you going to ensure the security so that they don't just go and use it for playing games and other things? So these were questions put to the minister, for which we are expecting his answers. And some of us are the view that this one is just propaganda. They just want to use it for political gains. But the actual thing is that it is costing other educational sectors in the country.
I see. And need I remind you, though, that you've played the same game before, your party. I mean, Pre-Tertiary was referencing how in electoral years, 2008, is it 2012 as well, 2012. I mean, I don't get it. Why do you do these things in an electoral year, if not for propagandist reasons, if not to curry favor, but in the end, you end up not being able to execute, and then it rolls over, and that is where it becomes extremely problematic, especially noting where one administration doesn't want to continue what the other administration started. Why do you politicians do this? Why?
No, that is one reason why Ghanaians at times must hold politicians responsible. If the program was started during President Kufuor's time, 2008, I remember when I was a DCE, President Mills' time, we were distributing these tablets, the RLG type. For the 4 years that I was a DCE, we were receiving and distributing. That one I know. And during President Mahama time too, we were doing same. That one I vividly remember. Yeah, but what is the problem is that it is a continuation. That is the challenge. President Mills continued with President Kufuor's program. That one I remember, I know very well, I'm sure. But this government stopped that program when they came to power in 2017. So for NDC, we continue with the process. If the MPP did not, that is their question to answer. We continued with it, as far as I know. But the point is that we begin the program, we don't end it. Then we jump into another. That is what is happening now. We have not even finished with the teacher laptop. Then we say students. Now, even in developed countries where the technological advancement is high, they still have textbooks. But over here, we started the distribution of textbooks. We have stopped along the line. We have not even paid the publishers their money. Then now we are jumping into tablets, and we will be owing the suppliers of the tablets also. Then very soon they will also go and picket at the Ministry of Education, just as the food suppliers are threatening to do very soon again. So I think it is the issue of not able to think through the program very well, so that we can draw a continuation or continuity program that whichever government comes will buy into that idea. But when we want to use it for propaganda, that is where we are having a problem as we see now.
Let me bring in...
I am very skeptical that they will be able to provide the remaining 900,000, because that is for the senior high school. They promised the junior high school too. So it was a total of 2,730,000 tablets that they said they were going to provide or supply. So we are waiting. Yeah.
All right. And if you look at the 400,000 plus that they've provided, of course, it would leave at the senior high level, like you said, excess of 700,000 more. And then if you look at the entire figure of 2.73 million, then that's going to be quite a convoluted situation. But let me also, just a quick thought, Dr. Peter-Anti. I'm even wondering, you know how we are putting all these books and resources on the tablets, right? And some have spoken as though the tablets were, impossible to destroy, indestructible. I don't know whether they are made of kryptonite or steel. But the point is, no matter how, sturdy, or the word doesn't come, a gadget is, okay? It has its limitations. I am just wondering, should something happen to these tablets that the students will be using, since they are going to use them more rather than textbooks and all of that? How are they going to be serviced? How are they going to be maintained? Who will pay for it? Do you have any idea, Dr. Peter-Anti, before maybe I throw that to Peter Nochukoto as well?
All right. Yes, I think I listened to one of the people who are behind this policy, and he was saying that there are ICT specialists in all districts at the Free SHS Secretariat, or the Free SHS Secretariat will liaise the students to these ICT specialists anytime there's a problem with the tablet, so that they will be those who are servicing it. But so that is I think that is a structure that they want to put in place. I don't know how feasible that is going to be, because that
sounds pretty convoluted to me, because that sounds like if my tablet were to have a problem today, it may maybe take me a month or two before I get that tablet back fixed.
Yes, I say this because some of the teachers are complaining about the inability of the KA technology people to work on their machines when they reported to them about that their machines are broken down. And these are the same group of people that are going to handle this at the senior high school level. So it's not all that clear how that is going to happen. But let me say that putting the soft copies of textbooks on the tablet is cost efficient. That is a fact. If you are going to spend, looking at how we deal with procurement in this country, and then the amount of money we claim we spent on the past questions for the final years, you would agree with me that if you have these things on a tablet, that will be cost efficient. So that is a point that we need to make. How the students are going to handle it, how they are going to use it for effective learning is what we have to look at and ensure that they are able to use it for the purpose of which they are being given these tablets. And I'm told that they will use it till they are leaving school and then they hand it over. The feasibility of that also looks a little bit sketchy to me because some of the students might not want to return them. I'm told that if you don't, there are mechanisms to track you. Well, we will have to look at that and see how that pans out. But let me make an interesting point. In November 2012, President Akufo-Addo, the then opposition leader in Cape Coast, at the University of Cape Coast, made an interesting point that the one laptop per student that was being distributed was now one laptop per NDC member. Interestingly, today, the Member of Parliament for NDC is also saying that the one laptop per student that is going to be distributed.
Are you referring to the one who is having the conversation with you, Peter?
Yes, I'm talking about Honorable Peter, my namesake. He's also saying that the one laptop per student will be distributed to MPP members. These are how our politicians always play with us.
Do you have any reactions to that? The maintenance of the laptops, Peter, not Chikoto, the maintenance of the laptops and the assertion being made by your namesake.
Yes.
Very quickly, because I want us to get into other issues.
I did not say that they were going to distribute the tablets to MPP supporters. I said that at the committee meeting, we advised the minister to be fair in the selection of beneficiary schools so that it will not be skewed towards MPP-prone area schools only. That was what we said. We didn't say it was one laptop, one MPP. The issue, we raised that issue of maintenance because our young boys and girls, we know how they are. They are very, very adventurous. They would like to do a number of things with their tablet. So what guarantee the minister was going to give us? That they will not use it for any other thing apart from academic activities. He told us the technical team was working on it and that it will be remotely controlled so that they will not be able to do any other thing. Then we say, okay, we will be watching closely because even our own phone, somebody somewhere can tap it and get information. And these children, the way they are very intelligent, they can find an antidote to all those things. So we are waiting to see. And so we talk about the maintenance. They said we were going to set up a 24-hour maintenance unit. So you only call to a secretariat and then they will work on it immediately. This one, I don't believe it. When our phones get spoiled, we have to go to a center where it can be repaired for us. So we are having our doubts to see whether things will actually work. So for the maintenance is very, very important because the way our children behave these days, I doubt if these laptops are going to have a very long lifespan.
Right. So let's quickly wade into two other issues, and then we can the issue of the salaries blocked by the OSP and the proposals made, as well as the provision of terms of service for teachers. I feel the terms of service are basic things that should have been done. I don't even know how you can work without terms of service, but there it is. Those two issues, the the proposals that have been made and the response from the teacher unions. What do you see on those specific points? How do we bring some clarity, finality to those two issues? Peter Nochukoto, before I come to Dr. Anti.
Yes, on the issue of the OSP and the blockage of salary, for me, I still not finding an answer to the situation, because what we have now from the controller and the Accountant General Department is that every month there is someone who must verify, do verification, and then give information to controller that yes, pay A, B, C, D. There's a term they use for it. I'm sure it is a verification. So based on that, government controller will now input your salary for the month. So if your name is not verified, your salary will not come. So the first point of solving this problem is to hold those who are doing the verification responsible. It is. Because you are given a number on a staff, maybe Accra Newtown 1 primary school. There is somebody there who must verify. At the district education office, there's somebody who must verify. So if at the date of verification, it is done, so that's why I'm beginning to worry, or I still worry, why this situation? Why should the OSP just jump into this situation? Are they not overstepping their bounds? Because you have the audit service, we have internal audit. So why should the OSP come into this? Meanwhile, teachers who have spent time to work, who were genuinely employed, have been receiving their salaries. In fact, go to the field and do a head count if you want so. Then you'll be able to get the good teachers. So for me, I am not happy with OSP for that action. So when I saw it as one of the issues raised by the teacher unions, I agree with them. But yesterday they promised that within 1 month they were going to resolve the matter. So let's hope that it is resolved, so that those teachers who for some months now have not been paid will receive their salaries.
Right, and on the terms of service, and then I'll go to Peter on the same 2 points. Quickly on the terms of service. Yeah,
the terms of service, you see, there is an agreement. It's a 3-year collective agreement. And once it is expiring, the union leaders and the employer must meet and review the agreement. Then it will come into effect when the existing one elapses. But it's what the GES has failed to do. And I don't know why we still wait for workers or employees to hold us to ransom before we begin to do things that as employer we are expected to do. So I am of the view that once they have promised, they have given them a deadline, but they will still be meeting today going forward. Let's hope that the two sides will come to a very good agreement so that our children can go back to school as quickly as possible. So let them make progress, and I hope the government and the teacher unions will listen to each other.
Hold for me, because when I come to you, it will be for that final point I want you to make or reflection on the GET Fund. But okay. Dr. Anti, those 2 points as well, very quickly, the terms of service and then the OSP freezing those salaries. Your quick thoughts on those? And the progress made so far, essentially.
Again?
And the progress made so far, essentially. That's what
sure. As I said, the OSP issue is a little bit interesting to me. I still do not understand what is really happening, because as Honorable Member explained, the teachers go through a verification process before they are paid. So if someone is not verified, the person will not be paid. Is it that we are saying that headmasters have verified people who are not on the field and they are being paid? If that is the case, have we gone around it to check whether these names are really people who are not on the field and they are being paid? This should at least shouldn't take more than 2 months to deal with. But the association have been complaining about this for months now. And sometimes I feel that my senior brother and the education committee in parliament should also sometimes move into some of these things before the strike actions and other things come up, because I've heard numerous press conferences by Thomas Musa and then NJ and other leaders about this OSP thing, and nobody tried to even help them resolve it. So they decided to go on strike, and all of a sudden they have been given a month. And that tells us that the teachers' issues are not important to our leaders, and that is why they will continue to treat them like that. That is why they will wait for their collective agreement to expire before they think about starting negotiation. You don't do that. You start negotiation when you think that it is getting closer to time. So people have neglected their duties, and at the end of the day, it is the individual innocent student in the school that is suffering. I think going forward, we should, as much as possible, try and avoid some of these things. And the powerful committee on education in parliament could be one of the strongest voices that can be used to support the teachers when they start bringing up these issues before they finally decide to go on strike.
Right. And the final point, since I'm already on you, that will be your parting shots. This bit about Parliament approving $3.94 billion to finance educational infrastructure projects across the country. I'm talking about Get Fund projects to see to the completion of 3,606 Ghana Education Trust Fund projects. But this whole bit, we have the levy, the Get Fund levy and everything, but sometimes it is appropriated to other things. What do you make of it and these sums that now have been approved? What would be your charge to the educational setup, the ministry, the service, as far as this is concerned?
I think that we have issues with infrastructure, and such an amount should be able to take us out of the infrastructure challenges that we have. We have serious problems with basic education infrastructure. We have serious problems with infrastructure at the senior high school level and even at the tertiary level. I believe that if this money is appropriated well, we'll be able to address some of the challenges. And this is where we have to bring in the idea of equity and see the areas that needs the infrastructure most, and then we attend to them. If you look at the Ministry of Education data, they have what they call deprived districts. So I'm thinking that the money is being released to them. They have to look at the deprived district. They have to look at the infrastructure needs of these districts and at least try and bring them up to a certain standard so that the students will go and sit in and they feel comfortable learning. With the way we handle Get Fund, I think that it's about time that we continue to push for the removal of the cap of the Get Fund, and fortunately this time around Parliament has been able to work around it, and we have this amount of money going to Get Fund. We just have to follow the money and ensure that it's going to be used for what it's supposed to be used for.
Thank you, Dr. Peter-Anti, for having joined this conversation. Peter Nochukoto, you have the final word on that same point.
Yeah, thank you very much. Get Fund, since 2000, when it was established, has done so much for upliftment of education in this country. That's why when in 2017, the Minister for Finance then brought the Capping Act or bill, we opposed it, but with the numbers, they carried it through. For this year, 2024, Get Fund was expected to receive 7.93 billion, but only 3.2 billion had been allocated to it because of the capping and realignment. And that 3.2 billion, we are going to use 747 million to pay for tablets. We're going to use 98 million to pay for teachers' laptops. What is left, it will be about some 2.something billion with the erratic releases. So we have a bill in my name, as well as that of the chairman of the committee, that Get Fund should be decapped. We are pursuing it. And when Parliament resumes, I think we will take it again. So
is that to suggest that a future NDC government, if you were to come to power, would remove the capping of the Get Fund? Is that to say
yes,
that?
We will remove it because it is not helping. If you go around the country and you see the dilapidated classrooms that are bound, poor furniture conditions, school toilets. In fact, the situation is not the best for our pupils, and we need to do something about it. So give Get Fund all that is required, and let them do A, B, C, D for the country. So we will pursue it and see how best we can make sure that Get Fund gets a lot of money. We are only praying that the 3.9 billion, this is because there is 3.9 because some money for 2023 had not been released. So we are expecting that will be released so that they can get the 3.9. In actual fact, it was 3.2 billion that was approved.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Peter Nochukoto, for joining the conversation. Those who joined us on this conversation, Peter Nochukoto, he is ranking member on the Education Committee of Parliament, Dr. Peter Anti, Executive Director, Institute for Education Studies. And that's the end of this belt on education and the wrangling between, well, guess what? The National Labour Commission, the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, and the three education unions.